things you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Happy New Year, everyone! My name is Beaton, and I'm your host for Trash Can Tidbits. I hope everyone out there had a good holiday. I certainly did. I took a little break to celebrate with my family and was outside of New Jersey visiting a friend for New Year's, but now I'm back for some more fun trivia. Now, last time I asked the question, which rock legend provided guitar solos for the song I'm Just Ken from Barbie? The answer is Slash. As the legendary guitarist for the rock band Guns N' Roses, the producers of the movie and Ryan Gosling himself went all out with him. A fun fact too, the song was originally written as a joke by composer and music producer Mark Ronson. Gosling and director Greta Gerwig later heard it and convinced Ronson to let it be used as a musical number in the movie, even though the movie wasn't really a musical. Ronson was amazed at how Gosling's interpretation of the song completely changed the tone he originally wrote it in. Slash's guitar solos were just the icing on the cake. Now with that settled, let's begin with fact number 1. Did you know that Peter Sellers did not use a French accent to play Inspector Clouseau in the first Pink Panther movie? When Sellers got the part, he and director Blake Edwards decided to make Clouseau a bumbling slapstick character because they shared a love of physical comedy from the likes of Laurel and Hardy. However, these aspects did not include giving Clouseau a French accent, so Sellers used a very slight French accent with his own natural British one. When the sequel, A Shot in the Dark, came along next, Sellers apparently took an unannounced weekend vacation, and when he returned to an angry Blake Edwards, he thought of something else to add to the Clouseau character. Based on an encounter he had with a French hotel manager who had a funny-sounding accent, Sellers incorporated his own version into his portrayal. Clouseau's over-the-top French accent became more exaggerated in further movies and became a staple of the character. Fact 2. Did you know that Sacha Baron Cohen got himself banned from the Academy Awards for a little while? During the release of his comedy film The Dictator, in which he played a fictional, exiled North African leader, Cohen got himself into trouble while attending the 2012 Oscars. While in character and in full costume as his character General Aladdin, he was on the red carpet being interviewed by Ryan Seacrest while brandishing an urn allegedly containing the cremated remains of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il, and then proceeded to accidentally spill them all over Seacrest. As a result, Cohen was banned from attending the ceremony or participating in any of the in-show events. After an apology, Cohen was allowed to come back to the next year's ceremony, where he performed the song One Day More alongside the cast of Les Miserables, which itself was nominated for Best Picture. He has not done any wild stunts like this for movie promotion ever since. Now, if only Will Smith can learn a lesson or 200 about humility after his own on-air Oscar incident with Chris Rock. Fact 3. Did you know that the movie Watchmen not only sets up its own superhero universe, but completely erases another iconic one if you look closely? In the first shot of the opening credits, you'll see the original Night Owl stopping a thief from killing a couple in front of a theater while tabloid photographers catch all the action. If you look in the background, you'll see posters for Batman comics, as well as the sign on the theater door reading as Gotham Opera House. Drawing on this conclusion, the couple that Night Owl saves is none other than Thomas and Martha Wayne, the parents of Bruce Wayne. In the Watchmen universe, there's no need for Bruce to become Batman. As a final touch, one of the posters is also advertising for the Johann Strauss opera Die Fledermaus, which interestingly enough means the bat. Fact 4. Did you know that the romantic movie Before Sunrise was loosely based on a real-life encounter director Richard Linklater had with a woman? The 1995 drama starred Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy as two strangers who meet on a train and decide on a whim to spend the evening together wandering around Vienna, slowly falling in love, but reluctantly having to part the next morning. Linklater has stated that he met a woman named Amy completely by chance, and spent the night with her walking around Philadelphia before they went their separate ways the next morning. The encounter inspired Linklater to make this film, and he hoped that Amy would find out about it and go to the premiere, but she never came. In between his other films, Linklater directed Before Sunset in 2004 and Before Midnight in 2013, which made up a trilogy. It was during post-production of Before Midnight that Linklater was contacted by a friend of Amy's who said that she was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident shortly before filming of Before Sunrise had begun in 1994. Before Midnight was dedicated to Amy Lerhaupt, the woman who inspired the trilogy. Fact 5. Did you know that a Broadway legend got to revisit an entertainment property 16 years after she won a Tony Award for being in a show based on said property? Kristen Chenoweth, whose theater credits include parts in shows like The Apple Tree, Promises, Promises, and of course, originating the role of Glinda in Wicked, as well as parts as in TV shows like The West Wing, Glee, and Pushing Daisies, had her breakout role in the 1999 Broadway revival of Your Good Man, Charlie Brown, where she played Charlie Brown's sister, Sally. The role of Sally wasn't even in the original show from the 70s, and it was created especially for her, including the use of a new song, My New Philosophy. Kristen won a Tony Award for her performance, but it would not be the last time she would be part of the Peanuts family. 16 years later, in 2015, the Peanuts movie was released, where she got to provide vocal sounds for Snoopy's love interest, the cute poodle, Fifi. Fact 6. Did you know that Margot Robbie had only 2 demands for playing Barbie? When the role was first offered to her from director Greta Gerwig, she asked for 2 things that were not yet written into the script. The first was that she wanted a slide in her dream house that went from her bedroom down into Barbie's kitchen area. And the second was that a mermaid appear in Barbie Land in some way. Not only would singer Dua Lipa play that Barbie mermaid, she also contributed to the movie soundtrack with the song Dance the Night. So, yeah, if you think Ryan Gosling went all out, Margot was so determined to have a lot of fun making Barbie, and it totally shows. Fact 7. Did you know that a location seen in a James Bond movie became the target of a real-life crime not long after the movie's release? In 1999's The World Is Not Enough, the opening sequence involves Bond in an exhilarating speedboat chase on the Thames River, chasing down an assassin, and climaxes at a huge arena where the assassin attempts to escape via hot air balloon, but fails, instead choosing to take her own life by blowing it up. This arena was known at the time as the Millennium Dome, and it was built in celebration of, you guessed it, the new millennium. In November 2000, the Dome became the subject of a real-life jewel heist attempt, where a group of criminals tried to steal priceless diamonds on display in an old-fashioned smash and grab, in particular, the flawless Millennium Star, which was worth millions of dollars. Fortunately, their plan was immediately foiled by Scotland Yard, London's famous police force, who were onto them for months, and the thieves were captured in spectacular fashion. This sting became known as one of the most successful in modern history. The icing on the cake, though, was that the police knew to switch out all the jewels, including the Millennium Star, with glass replicas, so the thieves would have gotten away with nothing. The Millennium Dome is now known as the O2 Arena, and has become a popular performance venue ever since. Fact 8. Did you know that British comedian and actor Stephen Fry is responsible for Sense and Sensibility's success at the box office? The 1995 film Sense and Sensibility, based on Jane Austen's novel, starred Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet as 2 sisters in the early 1800s searching for love despite their recent slip into poverty. Thompson is also a well-known writer, and she wrote the screenplay for the movie. It took her a few years to write it, and during one session, she actually lost the file. Now, not to bash any Apple fans who watch my show, but she was writing on an Apple computer, so that was her first problem. So she ended up taking it to a friend of hers, comedian Stephen Fry, who is an expert on Apple computers. He ended up finding the file after 7 hours. Fry is thanked in the movie's credits. Emma Thompson would go on to win an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay, becoming the first person to win 2 Oscars for acting and writing. She had previously won Best Actress for her leading role in another period drama, 1993's Howard's End. Sense and Sensibility was also partly responsible for the slew of Jane Austen-inspired movie adaptations ever since, and we have Stephen Fry to thank for it. Fact 9. Did you know that another actor named Daniel was originally cast to play Marv in the first Home Alone? Daniel Stern was, in fact, the first choice to play Marv, the dim-witted wet bandit who, in addition to other scenes, takes an iron right to the face. However, while he assumed he'd be working for about 6 weeks on the movie, then was told he would be needed for 8 weeks with no pay raise, Stern quit the movie. The filmmakers then hired Daniel Roebuck, who appeared in other 80s movies like River's Edge and Project X, but it became apparent that he did not have good chemistry with Joe Pesci, who was playing the gruff Harry. Roebuck was let go from the film and was also paid for his efforts, but was told not to appear in any other movies until Home Alone was released. Daniel Stern was ultimately hired back with his raised salary demands met. As it turned out, he was the right choice for the part because he and Pesci were already friends after previously working on a movie in 1982 called I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, and had great chemistry already. Lesson is, if an actor in your movie wants to be paid more, pay him. Fact 10. Did you know that, contrary to popular belief, Nintendo designer Shigeru Miyamoto did not force Rare to repurpose their game Dinosaur Planet into Star Fox Adventures? While it's true that Rare was, at the time, one of Nintendo's top developers and had a great working relationship with the company, Dinosaur Planet was very well into production for release on the Nintendo 64 and would have made a great game by itself, as can be seen in archival footage and photos. Along the way towards the end of development, Miyamoto merely mused offhand, what if this was a Star Fox game? Rare, which was still owned by its original founders, Chris and Tim Stamper, as well as the game's designer, Kevin Bayliss, ultimately liked the idea and subsequently convinced Miyamoto the move would be a good one, and development jumped from the N64 to the GameCube as a result. Star Fox Adventures would be the only game by Rare released for the GameCube, as well as being their final game with Nintendo before they were bought by Microsoft. Now, as for who came with Crystal's design going from this to this, you know what? Who's complaining? And here's today's trivia question. I've talked about the James Bond franchise quite a lot on these episodes, haven't I? Well, why don't we talk about the origin of where the name James Bond came from? As I've mentioned, author Ian Fleming was a traveling reporter and war correspondent during World War II, and he came into contact with many spies. He used these experiences when he conceived of the Bond character at his summer home in Jamaica, Goldeneye. He wanted a boring-sounding name for his main character, boring but also sophisticated in nature that let the reader know they were in for an exciting adventure. Turns out, Fleming didn't have to look very far for his character's name, as James Bond was the name of an author of a book on his coffee table. My question to you is, what was the name of the book that provided the inspiration for the character of James Bond? And there we go for this episode. I hope everyone out there liked this list. Stay tuned for more fun trivia and music in between. I got some more fun drumming projects in the works as well. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell to be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.